because Maryum may recognize this. This is one of Dr. Mark's favorite jokes. One of our practitioners came from the North Hollywood Center for, well, they don't call it Center for Spiritual Living. He calls it Church of Religious Science still. He's old school, man. He just keeps it the way it is, which is fantastic. Okay, so I'll put my mic on. All right, so this one is kind of about prayer. A lady goes to her priest one day and tells him, "Father, I have a problem. I have 2 female parrots and they only know how to say one thing." "What do they say?" the priest inquired. "They say, 'Hi, we're hookers. Do you want to have some fun?'" "That's obscene," the priest explained. And then she thought for a moment. "You know," he said, "I may have a solution to your problem. I have 2 male talking parrots which I've taught to pray and read the Bible. Bring the 2 parrots, bring the 2 parrots over to my house and we'll put them in the cage with Francis and Peter. My parrots can teach your parrots to pray and worship." "You want some parrots like that, don't you?" "Thank you," the woman responded. "This may very well be the solution." The next day she brought her female parrots to the priest's house. As he ushered her in, she saw that his 2 male parents were inside their cage holding rosary beads and praying. You got that image, little parrots? Okay. Impressed, she walked over and placed her parrots in with them. After a few minutes, the female parents cried out in unison, "Hi, we're hookers. Do you want to have some fun?" There was stunned silence, shocked. One male parrot looked over at the other male parrot and explained, "Put the beads away, Frank. Our prayers have been answered." I know, right? Oh, Lord, it's so great. Oh, look at that. It's up to me. I remember when I was going through, they called it homiletics in ministerial school. My teacher was actually Dr. Mark. And he says, "Okay, for all of you, I want all of your jokes. Every single one of them." And so we all brought him jokes. And so obviously that was one of his favorites. Anyway, we're talking today about it's up to me or it's up to you. Because what we teach in this philosophy is that it's up to us to create our reality. And I wanted to read something out of Ernest Holmes. It's called Living the Science of Mind. And it's really taking some of his ideas, and I'm going to read from different people and different modalities today, so you'll see how it all ties together, and it actually all works together. So Ernest Holmes says, it is said that it's called your invisible forces. It is said that the average man draws on only about 10% of, they always say male, by the way, in older readings, so I'll change it to inclusive, to their real capacity. And then the other 90% is mostly submerged and unused. Well, you and I would think it wonderful if we could multiply our talents many times. I have no doubt we can do this if we try. So let us take a simple lesson from nature, perhaps from where you're sitting, and see a tree in bloom. If so, remember that the roots through which the tree draws its life are entirely invisible. And unless the tree drew on this invisible source, it would never flourish. Our roots are in the mind of God. Our individuality, everything that we are and do, is an effect of our invisible forces. Forces which continuously draw on the infinite, but in our ignorance, we limit the flow of divine power into our lives. Of course, this is not intentional, for we all want to make good in our life. We want people to like us, we want a desire to be worthwhile, but too often when we make an inventory of our assets, we depend upon the circumstances that surround us. We say, how can I better myself? I haven't the personality, blah, blah, blah. So what he says, right here is where our faith and the power greater than we must be brought into play, for we are individuals that are rooted in this power. It is his great claim on power greater than he was enabled Jesus to become a divine man while still living on earth. And we like to say that Jesus was just a way shower that, and the quote's always, this and more you can do. And it really is that truth for all of us in our lives. And so when I was being present with this talk, it's up to me or it's up to us, Muriel and I were talking on the phone, and she brought up this book, and it's an old-time book, and look how old my copy is. It's called Your Word is Your Wand. And she was a, I believe, unity minister. And so a lot of the teachings from unity and science of mind, I'm going to even say Buddhism, they all kind of meld together. And what she wrote was a book called, I'm sure you've heard of it, The Game of Life and How to Play It. How many of you have read that? If you haven't, you can pick it up in the library, and it's great because she has this very cute, unique way of speaking because, I don't know, when was this written? In the 30s? 40s? Something around there. I mean, it was something. So what I did, I took and I,
Who's the author?
This is Florence Scovel Shinn, S-H-I-N-N. And she's one of the old-time writers that was very, very popular at that time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your word is your wand. And our word is our wand filled with magic and power. I always think about Harry Potter, sorry. I do, you know. Okay? And so we have the power to change an unhappy condition by waving over it with the wand of our word. And we've been doing that a little bit here because we wanted to change some circumstances. And actually what happens is that individuals, let's say you want to change something in your life, and somebody will come up and say, oh, that's impossible, oh, you can't do that. And we'll say, no, actually, I'm going to keep holding this truth. Because what we hear a lot is that, individuals are too busy and we're increasing the numbers that come on Sunday morning. And so we're holding that truth. So as late as last week, somebody said, well, you know that numbers are down everywhere you go. And I said, okay, that's really great, but that doesn't have to be our truth, all right? Because our truth can be something else. So I'm taking an example from Center of the Heart. And it has helped, and our numbers have increased because we're all holding that intention together. Because your word is your wand. And as we hold that intention together, we're able to make that happen. Well, conversely, the same thing happens for your health, for your relationships, for money. It doesn't really matter what it is. And it seems like in our teaching, people focus on money, 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 money. Well, it's not about the money as it is creating a connection and a oneness to spirit, okay? So what Florence Scovel Shinn did, she would use these great statements that she would come up with. And I actually have a few. But one of them, and I just wanted to share this story, she said a woman came into her, she must have been doing, she's a minister, and so she was doing treatment, and she was doing prayer treatment for them. She said a woman came for a treatment for prosperity, so I'm just talking about money now. She possessed just $2 in the world. Have we all been there? Yes. Maybe not $2, but $20 if you equate it. And I said, we bless the $2 and know that you have the magic purse of the Spirit. Do you like that?
Yes.
I like that, magic purse of the Spirit. It can never be depleted. And so when you're sitting there going, oh, I don't have enough for my bills, we can't do that because that energy will create, I don't have enough money for my bills. Because our word has volition, it has power. And what it does, it creates that reality. So I remember, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I put 2 things down in the morning, and I wrote exactly what I wanted, and do you know that it was better than what I wrote down? Because I forgot my little journal today, and I thought, well, I'm going to write it down while I'm driving. I'm writing it right here. I'm giving it to God, and I'm going to write it down. Because what happens is that will create the energy and the power. And then when we go backpedal into the negativity again, we have to continue to practice and not buy into the negative feelings. But it's hard, isn't it? Because I think we're wired as human beings to tap into the negativity. And that's the problem. So it's a constant practice. And we say in spiritual teachings that it's a practice, 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 practice. And we all get caught, we get tired, things happen. And then we have to pull ourselves up and start again. because starting again isn't going to negate anything else that you've done. It's going to continue to build on what you need. So she was saying about the infinite, let's see, okay, $2, okay, blah, 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 okay. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in. Can you visualize this? So as you're writing a check or you're paying a bill, immediately money comes in and under grace in perfect ways. And she says it this way, I love this. I see that purse. It is always crammed and jammed with money. Yellow bills, green bills, pink checks, blue checks. I go, really? That's cool. White checks, gold, silver, and currency. I see it bulging with abundance. She replied, the woman in the treatment, I feel my bag heavy with money. And it was so filled with faith that she gave me one of her dollars as a love offering. I like that. I did not dare refuse it and see lack for her. See, that was beautiful as the minister because she could see that. And it was important that I hold the picture of plenty. Shortly afterwards, she made a gift of, she was made a gift of, and listen, at this time in the 40s, $6,000. All right? Fearless faith and the spoken word brought it to pass. I love that. So as I'm reading this, I thought, oh, a purse bulging with money that never depletes? I like that. So it's a visual, that we create. We can do that with our health as well. But here's one of these affirmations for success. I now let go of worn out conditions and worn out things. Divine order is established in my mind, body, and affairs. Behold, I make all things new. I like that, right? It's beautiful. And as we continue to do that, it's to everyday practice and put down what we desire in that day. And you're thinking, well, gosh, I don't have everything every day. Is your life perfect? Do you want more health? Do you want better relationships? Do you want to have more income come in? Do you want to have a deeper connection to God? Because one of the things in my little journal, I'll write down, what amazing things do you want to have happen today? And I'll write down 3 things. And 3 of those things will naturally occur. They don't necessarily occur that day. Sometimes they do, because the power of the word is that fast. So an example is my daughter was writing down what she desired, and she recently has beat breast cancer. But she has become to realize that the breast cancer was really her, I'm going to say, the catalyst to have her understand herself and her soul more deeply. So recently she wrote down that she wanted to find a way to have a practice in order for her to have a deeper connection with herself and to love and honor herself. So she was at her yoga studio, and there was a teacher there that was teaching Ayurvedic, no, not Ayurvedic, what's the other? Indian. It's an Indian type of meditation. And so as what's the astrology, the Indian astrology called? Vedic. So she found a teacher that teaches Vedic meditation. All right? So she went and learned from this woman who used to be a stockbroker and a day trader, very, very stressful. Okay? So I want to talk to you about the power of word and about just taking in and having a few moments for yourself in order to have that faith and to sit and be in the love and the space of God. And this woman said she was drinking a bottle of wine a night, she was on antidepressants, she was stressed out like crazy, and that one day it got so bad, one of her bosses was screaming at her, and she said, something's got to change. So as she hit bottom, so to speak, she found the Vedic meditation. And this meditation helps her to be, no matter where she is. And she even taught this mom who had 3 kids and they were at Disneyland. And the mom was feeling stressed out. Yeah, it kind of be stressful at Disneyland, huh? So it's supposed to be all fun and games, but you get all stressed out sitting in line. Anyway, she let the kids go off. They were old enough, to watch each other. She did the meditation in the middle of Disneyland, okay? So that's what we can do. I don't have time, I can't do this, la la la. But you know what? We do have the time, and we do have that, taking the power of the presence and being in that moment, we're able to use it and change that day and not be stressed out, not create that energy. Because, you know, it is an invisible energy that we have. And we use maybe 10% of what we see. And you've all seen the picture of the iceberg. Have you seen this picture? Where it just has the top of the iceberg barely, but the bottom of the iceberg is huge underneath. And so for us, we can tap into that infinite creativity, which is that bottom part of us that we never touch. Because we very, very, very don't use all that we have. So with that, Yogi Bhajan is one of, she's not here today, but Joanne Murmis gave me this little book, The Laws of Life. And so this is more of a, Yogi Bhajan, I don't know, would it be Hindu teaching? Not necessarily, it's more universal. He says you have to learn in your life the process of consistency. In other words, continue to do something, okay? You have to be consistent. The fluctuation in your life does not represent you. It only represents your fluctuation. Your caliber of life is the consistency of you. Excellent consistency makes you an excellent human being. You must come through, come what may. That is the simple law of life. And what I got out of that is that when we are disciplined enough to do something, and even if you don't do it every day, let's say you do it 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and you practice the presence, you practice what you desire in your life, it's going to change. It's going to, you know, snowball, and it's going to shift your life. And I'm sure you've all seen it. How many of you have done like an exercise practice? Maybe you go running, maybe it's yoga, maybe, yeah. And if you had stopped after the first class, did you ever get any better? No. And then if you go to Eugene's singing class, are you going to get better if you don't keep going back? Are you going to get better at understanding the Course in Miracles if you don't keep going to Muriel's class every Wednesday? Are you going to get better if you don't focus on the positive instead of the negative? Are you going to get better at playing a musical instrument like George if you don't practice? George, you still practice, don't you?
Of course.
Yushe, you still practice, don't you? And it's that we do in our spiritual life. We practice, we practice, we practice, because the practice creates this, I'm going to say, insulation. And what the gurus talk about is that it creates this insulation of the outer world that it will not encroach on you. What happens is then you're in this place of peace and harmony. Somebody can come at you and be the most negative individual on the planet and you just laugh. Because that's what our goal is. I remember Jim said to me one time, you know what, remember Maryum? Because I was so upset. This was like 12 years ago. I was so, oh, people are mean to me, me. And then I thought, you know what? You know, you've got to have some insulation. You've got to learn how to be with difficult people. Because when any of us, we're in the world, aren't we? And as we learn how to be more present with those individuals, and not to accept them, and not to say, you know, you have to say, no, I don't like that. But what it is that there comes a point where we just, it flows past us or through us. And we don't have to take it in anymore. And that's when you know you shifted and you've gone to another level of awakening. It's beautiful. There was a man that was taught by, do you know who Paramanta Yogananda is? He was the founder of SRF. Okay, SRF, wait, I gotta remember the whole thing. Self-Realization Fellowship, okay? So he was the first person that came over from India and started teaching Kriya Yoga, and he started teaching these, I'm gonna say, teachings that we actually teach in Science of Mind. So one of his I'm going to say one of his students was Eugene Davis, and he recently made his transition. And he wrote this: disciplined, concentrated endeavor on the spiritual path is essential, and meditation practice must be attentive. Insights provide useful knowledge. Vivid memories of prior insightful perceptions support our ongoing endeavors. Faith that does not waver eliminates the possibility of doubt and indecision about spiritual practice. Innate knowledge is unveiled in emergence because of right practice. Subconscious influences and spontaneous soul awakenings that occur. And the last thing that I wanted to address is that we'll have a catalyst in our life. We're going to have something that's horrible or very difficult to get through. And then what you have to do is go, yay! Once I get through this, I am at another level of awakening. I can have something else come at me, and it's not going to be as difficult as it is this time, because the consciousness has been healed, it's been shifted. And that's really what it's about. Practice, practice, practice. So it really is up to you, it's up to me, in order to create our life. And that's what we talk about in Science of Mind, that's what we talk about in all these beautiful teachers. I mean, I just read from 3 or 4 different sources that are all saying the same thing. I have a mom that's 95 years old right now, and she says, oh, I am just hitting the tip of the iceberg. I go, whoa, really? She's, oh yes, I'm learning. And then the other day we're on the phone and she was all upset about something my brother did. And I said, Mom, you know that statement that Jesus always says, forgive them for they know not what they do? And I said, that's him. Can you apply that? Oh, yes, that makes me feel better. So she was able to, but it's interesting because as we grow and as we age, hopefully we become more open, and hopefully we have this thirst to, I'm going to say, to embrace our life and to continue to grow and grow and grow. And so I liken, as you climb up the spiritual ladder, I liken it to like, it dissolves away. That rung right there that you just left, it's gone. Sorry. You're going to have to go to the next level. And that's really it, because my daughter looked at me, I think it was Thursday night, and said, Mom, this is not easy. And I said, no, baby. I said, the spiritual path is not easy. And as Reverend Michael used to say, it's not for wimps. So if you're here, you're one powerful, amazing person, all right? That's all I'm saying, because if you're willing to do this, and you're willing to do this practice and this work, it's going to shift your whole life. So I wanted to just read one last thing, and I believe it's in here. Oh, and I write prayers every single week. And this one is, and I'm not sure if I read this before, but it's a good one. I am fulfilling my divine potential gracefully and gracefully. I recognize God is all there is. God is beauty and love expressing as all creation. I am one with the spirit of the divine, infinite love and wisdom. I'm ready, willing, and able to let God be in full charge of my life. I'm exhilarated by the promise of grace that lies ahead of me. I am moving forward to unlimited opportunities and blessings. Just feel this as I'm reading this. God expresses wisdom and light through me, guiding me every step of the way. I deny the appearance of fear and step into the truth of my powerful spirit. I am filled with strength, courage, and determination to move into a higher level of expression as my life. My faith is strong, and I'm awakened to my true purpose, expressing as my spiritual nature. I am strong, wise, and creative, and act with wisdom, courage, and resolve. I am thankful that the truth is revealed, and I am living a joyful, empowered life. Life is truly good. Feel that. I gratefully release my word into the law with a heart filled with thanksgiving. So it is. Amen. Thank you, beloveds. Thank you for being here, and I am grateful. Wonderful. Have a beautiful week and practice